Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Faith Howard Mooney. I'm SVP of Member Engagement at the Mortgage Collaborative, and this is the SIP. The SIP is our new show on Tuesdays that is a space to foster collaboration between our partner members and our lender members of our network, as well as people from the outside watching in. Admittedly, we're all a little bit nervous today because this is the first time we've been on LinkedIn Live. So bear with us here as we talk about this very important topic. It's also a time to grab a cup of coffee, a drink of any kind that you want, and just join us for a good conversation related to our business. The vision is to unite our membership, talking about real world things that are happening and trying to solve them together. So I have two of our members with us today. So I'm going to start by introducing them to you. The first is Allison Johnston. She's the president and COO of Success Mortgage Partners, and she's also the chair of TMC's Lender Member Board. Welcome, Allison.
Welcome. Hi, everyone.
And also with that, we have Chris Meyer. And Chris has been with Longbridge Financial since it founded in 2012. Chris, I was so impressed when I read your background. You actually have testified 6 times before Congress during the financial crisis and has frequently appeared in the media, including the New York Times, Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal, and National Public Radio. So thank you for joining us today from Longbridge. And you're a new partner to the TMC family, so welcome.
Yes, well, our company is incredibly excited to be working with you and with TMC, and we see it as a really wonderful opportunity. And I'm glad to be a first-time SIP person, and joining LinkedIn. It'll be my first LinkedIn Live. So I've done a bunch of media, I've done various kinds of things. I have not done LinkedIn Live until now. So
Fabulous.
This is my first shot.
Fabulous.
And by the way, it's way better than testifying in front of Congress, let me tell you. I assume you're not going to say some of the things that people say during those hearings.
We're going to be kind. We're going to be kind today for sure. So everybody, grab your beverage. I have a very special one here with me today because I literally just got out of a lift about 10 minutes ago coming from Cheers. And this is where we're going to have an event at our conference, actually at Cheers. So today's the last day of early bird registration. So if you haven't done that yet, please do that with us, but grab a drink and join us for the conversation. I think with that, we're going to get going here. So Chris, I would love for you to share just a little bit about Longbridge and who you are and how you support the members within our TMC family and also outside of that as well.
Sure. So, Longbridge is, we've been in business, as you said, since 2012. The company was actually spun off from New York Life originally. And our background, a lot of the folks in the company have come from larger financial services company. My background is different than most of the other people. My partner, Melissa Maceredo, came out of MetLife, and a bunch of the folks in our team back when they were in the reverse mortgage business. So a lot of people have a pretty deep background looking at reverse mortgages. And, the company's been, in business. We only do products that serve older Americans. The name Longbridge is based on having a long bridge to retirement. And the idea is that the home can help be a part of that stability for people to get into retirement. I'll say we're a big player in working with partners to build the reverse mortgage and the senior lending business, because we will be launching other products that are designed for older Americans that are not reverse mortgages, and we could talk about that down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
But as a company, we're really committed to serving a demographic that we think is a large and important and often overlooked demographic. And the last thing we do, just about 1 in 3 wholesale reverse mortgages HECMs in the business. So we're the largest wholesale lender in the space, and one that is really only works because of the success of our partners, the brokers and lenders that we work with, and certainly including Success.
Yeah.
in
Absolutely.
in that.
Absolutely. Allison, there are some people in the chat, and I should have said this. If anybody wants to chat with us, please do. We would love to hear from you and hear your comments. There, somebody said, "Watch out, Allison. There's a bear behind you."
Yes, that is actually a honey badger, which it's actually a very funny story. One of our business coaches we were talking with said, a honey badger. I'm like, what the heck is that? Is that like a Wolverine? And he's like, you don't know what a honey badger is? I'm like, I don't think we have them in Michigan. And just for everybody, we don't have them in the United States, unless they're but they're just a little bad animal that just keeps going at it every single day. And so it's our little mascot. Some people thought maybe it was a skunk, but it is a honey badger. So that's kind of our motto, just picking up the phone, calling, never take a no for an answer. It's always going to be a no. And if you don't ask, right? So that's a little honey badger.
And she's completely safe. That's her person that's her thing that motivates her every day. So with that, let's talk a little bit about the reverse mortgage business. I mean, everybody in the environment that we're in right now is looking for ways to earn additional revenue. Also, that demographic is growing. It's getting bigger. So it seems like a way that you could do that. Allison, I know you have a strong reverse mortgage group at Success. I would love it for you to share like some basics about how your program is structured and, if you can, how you got into it. I think a lot of people are hesitant to jump into the business. So I'd love it, whatever you can share about your process, that would be fantastic.
Sure. We've had a reverse division as long as we've been in business. That was very important to us. And it is a separate division. We have a manager that runs that division. She's wonderful, Regina Eldridge. She's been in the business a long time, and she loves helping seniors. For us, it works better as a separate division. It is very difficult for a forward loan officer to also do reverses in our world. And that's why it's separate. It's a different process. It's not like on the forward side, right? Reverses take a little bit longer. They take more time. Longbridge has been a great partner for us, but we work with our forward loan officers to refer it over to our reverse team. And what Regina does a really nice job is educating the forward loan officers even how to start the conversation, because some of them don't know how to start the conversation when they're talking with somebody. So it's really working through that coaching. And for us, we want our loan officers to keep winning and win more. And that's why we have a reverse division, because there is volume that can be done there. And we don't want that realtor or that referring partner to go somewhere else to get a loan done, because we always worry, well, if they're going to go to somebody else, then maybe other loans are going to go there too. So we wanted to make sure that, it was part of our umbrella that we have. And one of the things that we also do is we have something called Fab Fridays, where all our loan officers pop on a call on Fridays. Is we do have Regina talk about the reverse division and just do a little bit more education every time, just so it stays in front of them as they're talking to their clients, their referral partners, and then Regina's team takes it to the finish line. And it works out really well for us.
And I would imagine, just because of some things that we've heard from others, from their LOs, I guess I would say, I would imagine that they have some concerns when they're bringing in a loan, and then they have a partner in crime that they're working with it. I imagine that's a comfort level. Can you talk about like any concerns that you had with your LOs and how you kind of structured that transition to your reverse mortgage team? Or is it just that it's always been there, and so for them, it's just another product?
It's just another product. But we do have some forward loan officers that might come to our company and say, well, I have a little bit of experience with reverse. Is it okay if I do a reverse mortgage? And we prefer to send it to our team because they specialize in it. I mean, they can do reverse mortgages in their sleep. They know that program inside and out and all the guidelines. So instead of our forward loan officers kind of stubbing their toe on it, trying to get through the process, we give it to the experts, which is what our reverse team is, and that's what they specialize specialize in, and they love doing reverse mortgages. I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to meet Regina, but she absolutely loves that program and loves our seniors. And the marketing is different too. Like reverse mortgage has some very strict guidelines and compliance on how you advertise them, certain font, everything. And we just find that it works better in a separate division for us to be successful.
Yeah. Chris, I'm going to pivot to you a little bit. I know that I referred my first reverse mortgage in 1992. I remember it specifically, and I've always been very, very interested in it. And like Allison said, that group of people that service that, they are very passionate about what they are doing, just in a different way related to the product. I would love it. There's just a ton of misconceptions out there related to reverse. I would love it if you could kind of share some of the things that people may hear that aren't valid necessarily in that business.
Sure. Let me just say first that what Allison talked about is, in our view and in our experience as a company, really the pathway to success in reverse. So it's a product that has, that's a product that I think everybody should, know something about, but it's a product that requires a lot of knowledge, hand-holding for some of the customers. And it's a product where, having a separate group of people to manage it is really what we've seen as being, kind of a pathway to success. But it is something when you think about, people often think about this as a niche product. So we'll talk about different perceptions. I'll actually start with that. 33% of all homes in the United States are owned by somebody 65 and older. That's going up about 0.5% a year. If you look at the demographic of older borrowers, between 15 and 20% of mortgages are typically underwritten to people who have who are 62 and older, that is eligible for reverse. And so when a lot of people talk about having a lifetime relationship with their customers, they don't really mean a lifetime relationship with their customers. What they really mean is, well, up to the point where I think I can do another refinance with you, which is different than having a lifetime relationship with a customer. So I'll start with sort of reverse as a niche product. It is a niche product in the United States. If I go to the United Kingdom, where I'm speaking at a conference next month, about 36% of all loans to people 55 and older are equity release, what they call lifetime mortgages. Wow. So it doesn't have to be a product like that, but it will be if people don't kind of think about it and understand and present it as an option to their customers. And I think one of the things that is really important for us, and the reason we really like working with, brokers and lenders, is the thing that, Allison talks about and knows, is obviously you have to have a relationship with your customers and a level of trust. And people have misperceptions about reverse mortgages, but if somebody who they trust says, this is something you should think about, I'm not, no one should say you should get it, given product. It's about giving the customers option and choices. Customers are much more willing to listen if they're listening to somebody with whom they have a trusted relationship already.
For sure.
And so that idea that this is something where customers that you've worked with before, referrals, other people who, have that trusted relationship, you can then sort of say, look, I've got a product for you to look at. You may have heard some things about it, but let me just show you what the options are. I wrote a paper a few years ago, by the way. People think reverse mortgages have high interest rates. The average interest rate on a reverse mortgage is actually below the interest rate on a forward loan. Now, the upfront costs are higher, but the interest rate itself, I did a study looking across the country at mortgages taken out by seniors, was actually less expensive. They are adjustable rate as opposed to fixed rate, but that allows you to have a line of credit. So there's lots of misperceptions, but people, when they kind of think about the product, don't kind of appreciate the value that the product can bring for customers. And they just assume that why would anybody take out the product unless they're desperate? And, that's not true.
Yeah, there's that. I've heard like that people only use it when they're in a medical crisis situation or in desperation, as you said. People also think that you come in and take their house away. That's one that's kind of out there that's like so not true. But I think that one of the biggest reasons, and tell me if I'm wrong, in the demographic that you're talking about, they are accustomed to having that trusted partner with them, kind of guiding them along the way. And they also may have other people involved in that process. So you may not only be working with, the senior, you may also be working with other members of their family that need to have comfort level with the decisions that are being made. Would you say those things are also true misconceptions about being involved with a reverse?
So a couple of things. The first is the loan of last resort. We've had two
Mhm.
customers that I know of buy an airplane with a reverse mortgage and know
Exactly.
that, airplanes are not always multi-million dollar things, for a few $100,000 or, hopefully not too much less. You can buy an airplane. And if you really wanted to fly in retirement, using your home equity to fly seems like a really awesome idea. So when you think about using your home equity, it's not just, well, you should do this at the bitter end. People should, the academic research on this suggests not that many people run out of money in retirement. It's actually that people can do more things than they realize in retirement.
Yeah.
And so that idea that this is only for people who are desperate, it is true. But, a quarter of our borrowers have no mortgage on their property. They're not paying off another loan. They're actually using the money to do other things.
Well, let's face
So,
it too, in the past, when people have refinanced their houses, sometimes it's because they're in a situation like that too. It's not uncommon in a first mortgage when rates are good for people to cash out because they've gotten themselves in a situation where they could use the funds. In that respect, it really isn't that different and not true. We do have a question in the chat for Chris. Um, it is, what do you think sets you apart from competitors in the space, and how do you see the company's role in evolving, helping seniors through that process with retirement challenges, especially right now in the market that we're in?
I mean, for us, our goal is to work with customers to be successful. As I said, we do about 70% of our business with loans we underwrite. We have a correspondent business also with brokers and other lenders in the business. And so we view our success as if we're able to be successful with our partners and to have them be successful ultimately. So, I want us to work with Allison and Regina for them to be able to do as many loans as they can and to provide the kinds of support, whether it's, training, marketing, speed of execution, anything we can do so that they can be successful and offer a suite of products, both HECM and government, and proprietary, that serve as many customers as possible. So for us, it really is about trying to reach consumers wherever they are. And that is very often, people who are talking to other lenders and trying to figure out what's the best situation for me next. So for us, that's our goal, is to ultimately be successful. Um, but you're successful by making your partners successful. That's how you win in the wholesale business.
And I think giving the borrower all the options, right? I think
Right.
you made a comment before, but we want to be the lender for life for our borrower. So we want to make sure in whatever stage that they are in their life, we put them in the best program possible. Hey, Chris, I just had one question. Since we already have a reverse team that's in existence and it's running separately, how would you, let's say somebody wanted to get started. Let's say there's a lender on here or somebody that wants to get started with reverse.
So we have a group called Reverse Made Easy at our company, and I obviously appreciate the question. So we will have, we'll have a lender or broker who will call us and say, I have a customer, I haven't been able to find another solution. Here's an option. What do I do? And they can do as little as just basically take the application and perform a couple of services, which is the minimum amount of work you need to have a broker. We will take care of processing the loan. We will take care of helping them and educating them enough that they can educate their clients, provide marketing and training materials to close a loan, because they have somebody literally sitting across the table that needs an answer and needs a solution. So we start there. And our job is to try and help grow the business with companies over time. Maybe they do the first loan, the second loan, they hire somebody who has a little bit of reverse experience and say, well, maybe we'll give you some referrals within the group, or there are a few people that learn a little bit more. And we're just trying to support the build from the very beginning all the way through. And there are companies who want to begin to underwrite loans. We'll actually help them get their approval as an underwriter, so they can have the ability to underwrite the loans, and we'll close the loans. If they want to go the step after that, we'll help people become a lender, a correspondent lender. We've had a number of people that we started with who worked with us as a broker who now sell to us as correspondents.
Yeah. And so
it's full suite of services from start to finish.
Yeah. And as Allison wants to keep her borrowers as a lender for life, you want to help our customers grow their lenders from that first loan. So really be that resource, just like Allison's team is a resource to the customers. You want to be the resource to the lender members to help them get through that process.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit when we met a couple of weeks ago about, and you mentioned it earlier, but I want to dive into it, I think, a little bit deeper. Like it was an aspiration, which I totally agree with this. And people don't look at it this way, though. It's an aspiration to get people to look at reverse products the same way that they look at anything else. So as you're talking to a borrower, Allison, I would be curious, does your team line up, okay, here's a 30-year fixed of people at a certain age, here's this, and then what is the best financial situation for you as our borrower and customer? Because I think that oftentimes it's like we're going to go down the path always of a forward first. And then if that doesn't work out for some reason, then you go down the other path. And Chris, I know that I would love for you to also share some comments about, is that a disservice or not to the borrower, the position that you're putting them in given their age? So Allison, I would love for you to just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that Regina does really well, is just to get the conversation started. Because for a forward loan officer, it's not necessarily natural if they haven't been exposed to it. Right. So it's just asking the questions. And if they seem like they're interested in a reverse, then it goes right over to our reverse division, where they talk about all the suites of the products because they know them inside and out. And if it works out reverse, then it goes into that division. If not, it'll come back to the forward original loan officer. And we keep the loan officer involved throughout the entire process. So it's not just like it goes over to that team, they close it, and they don't have any communication. That is one of the things. And one of the things that I would also say is it's part of your family. They're part of our S&P family, right? So if it's a product that they offer that they do, that will help us be the lender for life, that's why we're going to send it over there. One thing I would say too is just making sure that you're staying in front of your loan officers. And that's why we have Regina come on our Fab Fridays. She sends out a ton of material. She's always sending stuff out to loan officers because we have new loan officers that join our team all the time. So it's educating them on the reverse. And I would just say it's just like if we're going to offer a jumbo, if we're going to offer an ARM or a buy down or whatever program that we're going to offer, that's just part of the suite. And what I said before is lender for life. That's what we want to be. And that's why, we're passionate about the reverse team and have had it for such a long time. They do a great job. They have their own processors there just because it's a different flow. And that's worked really well for us. But the constant education, because it's not necessarily natural for a forward loan officer to say, oh, what about a reverse mortgage? And so just a little bit of education to kind of help them with it. And then kick it over to our reverse loan officers because it's too hard for them to know in all the ins and outs of the programs.
Right. And
Yeah.
you, just so you know, you got kudos from Adrian. Adrian, thanks for the comment in the chat that Allison was spot on with her business model. So other people out there recognize that it sounds like what you've got going, it works for you. It possibly could work for others depending on what they want their process to be. Chris, talk a little bit about what we talked about before, when you're thinking about products and borrowers of a certain age.
Sure. So I'll say a couple things. The first is, and I'm sure Regina's used to constantly saying to people, just answer the question you had earlier, no, we don't want to own the home. It's a loan, it's a mortgage. The whole point of a mortgage is for us not to own the property. But, when you think about older borrowers, they have very different profiles over their remaining life cycle. So you're looking at somebody whose income is in all likelihood going down, not up, maybe substantially. And so putting somebody into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at age 65 or 70 is really meaning they're going to be making payments, if they're lucky to live 30 years for the next, till they're 95 or 100. And that puts a lot of pressure on people whose incomes are falling, not rising, and who are facing challenges. When you think about tariffs that are coming in, if you want to think about the most terrified group of people right now, there's somebody who's living on Social Security. They have maybe some pension but most of their money's in the stock market. The stock market's going down. They're facing concerns about the cost of buying things, whether they got to replace their car, whether they got to, get clothing and food and other things to live off of, go to restaurants. And so you look at costs and inflation and uncertainty in the stock market and the ability of not going back to work or wanting to retire, having something where you don't have to make mortgage payments and you have a line of credit to help you if you need it. That's a product that has a real market for people. And if you described it and you didn't say it was a reverse mortgage and you said, you can make interest payments, you can make no payments, you can borrow against a line of credit because you need help. By the way, if your home burns down and you have a HECM, and we literally have servicing customers like this, you can draw on the line of credit to go rent an apartment if your home burns in a fire. As long as you are intending on rebuilding that home, you can actually use the line of credit even for some of the worst catastrophes that people think about. So I think if you describe the product and it's somebody who you trust, part of the family, as Allison said, those maintaining that relationship and having people listen and look at what the product can do, I think they're going to be people who are going to look and say, thank you for showing this to me. I really appreciate it. I didn't think I wouldn't have thought this was an option, but once you've shown it to me, actually it's something I should be really looking at and thinking about.
Yeah. And if you look at 2003, we're going to take you back 2003 to 2005. How many new mortgages were generated during that time period? And now we're 20 years later. And so individuals they may have moved, but probably a lot of people with RateStar still in those same homes. When you think about that, it really is a large number.
It's opportunity.
Yeah.
And I know we talked a little bit about educating the forward loan officers. It's really educating everybody in your company because everybody knows somebody that could benefit from a reverse mortgage. Right. So just making sure you're educating everybody on the products that you have on the reverse mortgage as well.
Well, and not only that, but I'm always amazed by what I hear in the media and some of the misconceptions and other things come out, it's really about educating everyone that's in your
100%.
circle, not
Yeah.
just your family. I mean, it's about educating everyone that is literally out there, so that those common misconceptions go away. We are right at time. This always goes so fast. You guys have just been awesome. So everyone on the call, thanks for the participation in the chat. We really do appreciate that. Come back and join us again next Tuesday. And think about joining us at our conference in Boston in September as well. Allison and Chris, appreciate you both. Thank you for doing this with me. And cheers.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a positive day.
Cheers.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You
Thank you
too.
for
Bye.
having us.